Hello everyone and welcome back to another album review. And in this video I'm going to review Worship the Eternal Darkness by Archgoat. The Finnish war metal outfit Archgoat are back with their brand new album, and now if you are fans of Archgoat or you are familiar with their sound, you definitely know what to expect. You're gonna get more of the same. Archgoat is not one of those bands that goes for something new or something different with its work. When there is an Archgoat album, you definitely know what you're getting into. It's gonna be more of the same. Which that by itself isn't necessarily a bad sign. Many people love the sound of Archgoat, so it's obvious that they would mostly want more of the same and go into a safer route rather than just going for something out there for the band. The thing is whether you're interested to just get into listening another similar album with basically anything else they've done. And at this point I'm not really feeling it as much. I'm not that much into listening to another war metal album. There was a period of time where I would enjoy war metal a lot. There are albums that I still like to this day, but it's one of those genres that it doesn't really develop. If you've listened to a couple of the classics, it's more of the same. There's not like something that different. So at this point I'm not really that much interested into listening to a brand new album because I know what to expect and I know that it's gonna be similar to the others. Like I kinda started losing interest with the release of the album The Apocalyptic Triumphator. This was not that much of a solid album for the band. However, I was kinda surprised pleasantly with the next release, The Luciferian Crown. At least this one had the track The Obsidian Flame from My Depths, which is one of my favorite Archgoat songs, but other than that I would still not necessarily say that it was such an exciting album for war metal. It was a pretty decent attempt though, and even when it comes to this brand new album over here, Worship the Eternal Darkness, I think that it has its moments and I still enjoyed some of its parts. It's still a pretty standard combination of like black and death metal with really raw production, extremely furious blast beats, and overall a quite intense experience that has 10 tracks, starts with a short intro, and then we jump straight into the intensity, with the first track being Heaven's Ablaze, which honestly it's a pretty good song. I think it's a pretty solid track for what it does. It shows the capabilities of Archgoat and why they are considered to be one of the greatest groups when it comes to war metal. I mean, this song is really good. It has some really solid riffs, it has some really intense blast beats, and overall it's a good track structurally. It has the raw, brutal and sinister sound that makes Archgoat appealing. So this track in my opinion works pretty well for what it does. Then I think it also keeps the streak with some pretty interesting moments, with the track Black Womb Gnosis also having some riffs that in my opinion honestly they sound pretty nice. There is a moment halfway towards the song where it has a guitar solo that in my opinion it's a bit weak and not really that fitting, but apart from that it is an okay song. And we also have All Christianity Ends. I like this track in particular because it has one of those elements that I like the most when it comes to Archgoat, when it goes to those slower and heavier moments. This one in particular, especially with the additional bell sounds, reminded me of some of the elements that I liked a lot from the very first Archgoat album, Horror of Bethlehem, which is my favorite work from them. And in my opinion, All Christianity Ends definitely has some of its more solid moments. It is a track that is a bit interesting. I think it has some solid riffs. I like the sound of it, and it's a well performed song overall. And so we have a good streak with 3 tracks that in my opinion are not necessarily something really that mind blowing, but it's still pretty decent material that are quite enjoyable, and so that Archgoat still managed after all of those years to create some pretty solid war metal songs. But in my opinion it's after this point where the album just started kinda losing my interest and becoming a bit forgettable. It would just contain more of the same styles and structures but with some weaker ideas. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's just those 3 tracks that are good, and if the track listing was shifted it would still be the first 3 tracks that would grab my attention and then I lose interest. I honestly think that the album delivers its greatest moments with the first 3 tracks, with the exclusion of the intro, obviously. The album still delivers overall when it comes to its raw production, its intensity and energy, and its furious blast beats. Those elements are still there. The ideas are just not that much there anymore. And I can't really blame them. I mean, after all of those years, in a genre with such limitations, I think that honestly, this album in some respects is even better than expected in some parts. I can give it to them that they know how to milk the formula and just still managing to create some solid tracks out of it. But it doesn't really last that long, as you have tracks over here like an Extremis Nazarene, which I don't care for at all. I think that it was a pretty forgettable song, that it wasn't really that interesting. And apart from this, I would say that there are a few glaring issues when it comes to the sampling at some points. The main striking example is with the track Empyrean Armageddon. Halfway towards the song there is this sample portion that is just poorly mixed and really feels out of place. It's mostly just a distraction and it feels unnecessary. Just let me sort of enjoy the song and pay attention to the performances rather than just putting random sounds that don't even really make any sense. Apart from that, you may have samples towards the beginning or the end of some songs, which in my opinion is just filler material. It doesn't really add that much to the experience other than just adding more seconds to the tracks. One of those examples is the track Burial of Creation, which has an intro to it but also has a bit of a lengthy outro that goes for 1.5 minutes, and there's not really something that interesting there. Though Burial of Creation in my opinion is one of the better songs when it comes to some of the riffs. I think it's a kinda okay song that goes more into the slower and heavier side of things, and in my opinion it has its moments. Apart from that, it's another song that is a bit lengthy and doesn't really offer that much. It's a bit of a slow pace, and the rest of the track listing towards the second half, it's just pretty decent. I think it has some really solid performances and, like I said, raw production, really intense sounds, but the ideas not really there. At the end of the day, this is just your average war metal album. There is nothing more or less to it. I think that Archgoat still managed to deliver to the sound. There are definitely some solid moments, and for those who are not bothered by the repetition, you're obviously going to love this album. It basically has anything that you know Archgoat for. I ended up enjoying the album. I think this is a pretty okay album and decent for what it does. However, it is to a point now where I'm not that much interested for more, in a sense that I knew what to expect and I got exactly what I expected. So with that being said, I think that the album is okay, but that's just all about it. I'm going to give Worship the Eternal Darkness a 6+ out of 10. What's your opinion on this album? Like it, dislike it, why, and what do you want me to review next time? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.